What you making there? I'm making a potion for, like, I got sorted into the rap house recently. What are you working on over there? I'm working on a resurrection potion. Resurrection? What are you talking about? You know, whenever, like, a song just dies out entirely, you need to come back to life and whatnot. Whose resurrections, potion are you making right now? Oh, I'm just working for Michael Jackson. He's already dead. What are you talking about? They have a clause, it's called the Michael Jackson clause of the potion making committee. It says that, we're allowed to bring back just a random Michael Jackson song from the dead. I'm assuming Taylor Swift has got a lot of those. She just spams them back to back to back to back. Hi, hello. I'm Token and welcome to the Devil's Advocates podcast. Today, we are talking about how to harness the magic of music. So, what is magic? Magic is defined by Briticana as a content used to describe a mode of rationality or way of thinking that looks to invisible forces to influence events, affect change in material conditions, or present the illusion of change. Now, these three different things are going to be very key factors for later on in the video, because we're going to go into these case studies and how each of these three factors apply to these case studies. Given that definition, it's a lot less magical than what you would think the definition of magic would be. A lot of music in general can also just be a statement. Whenever we're talking about the ability to influence change, which is one of the definitions of magic that we are using, you could definitely argue any type of music could fit that definition, because as long as it influences an individual to, like, do something or to consume their content or buy it, you've technically influenced and you've technically done magic onto that other person. And I don't want to sit here and say that every single song is also, like, the meaning to life, because What Does the Fox Say exists in 1 out of, like, every 7, close to, I don't know how many billions of people are on the planet right now, but I know that has, like, around 1 billion views. What Does the Fox Say? That song, around like 1 in 7 of every person on the planet has heard it. I think it has similar view counts to Rap God by Eminem. And if I was a musician and I was writing myself and I was just like, oh my gosh, I made this like masterpiece, and like you pull out Rap God, and then you just pull up YouTube and you're like, I just want to see what's the similar things that's got like around 2 billion. What does the fox? Are you kidding me? Like, I would genuinely crash out and be like, I should just say, what does the turtle do? Like, I wasted so much time. And another way that, the definition in general matches how music is magic is that it can also portray this illusion of change. The whole song about, you can have a song about solving world hunger. Is it gonna solve world hunger? No. I'm gonna go into the types of music that I'm referencing and then each individual case study that I am referencing. Not for every single one of these am I gonna have a particular artist or group of artists or whatever. Some of them are just generalized, and you'll probably understand more as I get there. The first one is rap. And the two people that I'm going to be going into for this is Eminem and Tyler, the Creator. Then we have country, we have Dolly Parton. Pop, Michael Jackson, the king of pop. Some video game music, specifically from the video games Undertale and Minecraft. And then live music, K-pop, and then movie music. Now we're going to go into the individual case studies, since we've given the overview and how the magic of music affected their lives and whether or not it became a curse. Ooh, that was such a good line. Stupid. Eminem for rap. If you don't know anything about Eminem, like, he grew up really poor. He had a very, very bad situation growing up. His family wasn't necessarily, he didn't have a have the picture perfect family nuclear life. He often expressed about it in his music, and even in one of his songs talking about his mother like doing drugs, and he didn't find out until he was like older in life. But the main purpose of his music and whatnot was to be able to get out of the situation that he had been in his entire life and escape not only the financial issues, but just escape the area and his unhappiness and whatnot. How his music was magic is he directly benefited his life through his material struggles becoming better because he had more money to be able to, buy things that he wanted to have freedoms, etc., etc. I will say the only like illusion of change per se is that he was doing well when he was really struggling with an addiction problem before he had like his recovery album and whatnot. He contributed mass influence in several different ways. One way is, there weren't really a lot of popular like white rappers or anything at the time, so he definitely changed that and just created several not memes per se, not memes per se, but several very iconic moments that are cemented in the population's memories for years. The next one we're going to talk about is Tyler, the Creator. As I mentioned before, this is one of the other rappers that I'm going to talk about. Tyler, Tyler's a lot different than Eminem in that his influence, while they were both influential, Eminem's is highly marked by his rough childhood, and a lot of his music is his therapy. So you know a lot about him and whatnot. But whenever I think of Tyler, the Creator, in comparison to him, I think of like New Magic Wand. I think of See You Again. I think of Igor, and those are not as heavy with the darker topics that Eminem goes into, and more focused on less extreme and or more mature content and more purely around the music itself and or more creative. Well, not more creative, because I think in a different creative way. So it created a direct change in pop culture in that I know some individuals who don't listen to rap, but they listen to Tyler because they enjoy his songs. He did have influence over society. I don't know necessarily any of his personal issues other than his strained relationship with his father due to his mother's lack of informing him about his decisions in life and whatnot. I don't have as much of a thorough background in regards to his personal life and his music, as he doesn't really go into it as much, at least in what I have listened from him. And from what I would say people generally consider popular music from him. If you're listening to See You Again versus Lose Yourself, you're going to learn a lot of different things about each individual. Someone who wrote Lose Yourself got a lot going on. Not to say See You Again doesn't, but they're just different. So, at least from the popular stuff from Tyler, the Creator, that is well known by him, it's not necessarily laden with all of his personal issues, other than, I would say, the song about his relationship with his father. And then when it comes to like events, obviously, to like their concerts and whatnot, as we get further into the list, I'm going to go into how, like, because a section of magic, and the definition of it is, the events and whatnot. Now we're going to go into country. While there are several different country singers and whatnot, and I am not saying it is going to be defined by one, as previously mentioned, I am just going to use this one because I think she's a great example of a case study of great magic. No curse here. Unless she's really good at hiding the curse, ergo no one knows about it. We're going to go into, I think everyone would know it, Dolly Parton. Oh, I love that Southern woman. I love that Southern woman. She's been influential in several ways, not just events, not just monetary, because, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about her personal life, a little bit. We do know that she didn't grow up very well off and whatnot, from her song Coat of Many Colors. And So she definitely had magic. Music gave magic to her life in that she got a better way of life than she ever did before, but she also helps give magic back to the world throughout her several different nonprofits that she's created, or not nonprofits, but charity donations and or things that she's done for the world since she has gotten this magic of music, her spell book, if you will. She has had a program to give books away to children and whatnot to help people who have lost their homes in natural disasters. And then she's also produced scholarships to help people go to college, which is all wonderful things to do. Again, for every single video that I have, you can find my reference links down below if I use reference links for that video. But whenever it comes to an illusion with Dolly Parton, I would say generally it does not seem like her life is an illusion, unless she has some stuff going on behind the scenes that are very not well for her. I wish her well. And then we're gonna get into pop. Michael Jackson. His form of magic is just influence, mass influence of even 40 years after his song came out, and it still is doing numbers. It still is. Also, material change in regards to magic. This guy had a lot of money. His life was very complex given just all of how he was involved in society. I feel like he has enough stuff to have a video about him alone. I don't want to make a comment on it unless I have thoroughly got into every section of it. So I'm going to leave that part of it up in the air for is it an illusion when it comes to his personal life. His personal life was very complicated. Now we're going to go into video game music. Video game music, while unlike regular pop stars who there's definitely events in which you could be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go and watch this movie star, and that's how they fit one of the 3 definitions of magic, because they have those groups and communities who do those things and whatnot. Not to say that individuals who listen to video game music don't, band together during any time, but I would say that's generally not a very common thing. You don't ever just say, hey guys, I want to pull up. You come into the club, it's going, oh, what is this? This was the second track on the clickbait video game last night. What are you talking? This is a video game? At least when you go into a video game, that is not the primary purpose of whenever you are playing a video game. And so I'm not using that as a part of the magic definition, as that is not the primary purpose. The primary purpose of it is to be in the background while you're playing it. And if there is another purpose outside of it, I would generally say it is because other people try to search out those exact songs on YouTube in the playlist or the entire soundtrack of that video game to go and listen while they go and do something. So it's not necessarily an illusion of change per se, whenever we're talking about magic and music, whenever it comes to video game music, because there's a very primary purpose of video game music. It is to do the game, play the game. Unless you are playing a game that is primarily focused on sound and music in general, generally the purpose of video game music is not to provide this illusion or anything. It's usually in the background of whatever you're doing. The magic in video game music is the influence and your usability of it outside of the video game. For Minecraft music, studying, doing that. Or even you could be a part of while this isn't necessarily going and meeting with people, you could be a part of a fandom and be like, I want to make similar music to this, and this inspired me to do this, or you want to make a game that's similar to that. Maybe you want to make a Five Nights at Freddy's knockoff, who knows? You could listen to Undertale while you're working out, but it's a much more close and personal form of magic that alters your behaviors and maybe inspires you to do better when it comes to working out or your study habits. And then now we're going to go to live music. This can apply to any creator whatsoever. And I mean any. It could be the small ones, it could be the large ones, because live music, small creators, very underappreciated. The magic in it is going to the live events themselves. And you can go and create a community, have fun and friends there. Now, when it comes to creating illusions, again, there can be people who sing about different things and then they act a different way, so it can create the illusion of, oh, this person is so great, and yada yada yada, and then they're an entirely different person whenever they get off the stage. That's one reason I think, like I've said multiple times, that whenever I think of content creators, I just think of them as TV shows in my head. And I think the same thing can apply to singers and songwriters and all of that. It's a job. They happen to be really good at it, and that's great. But anybody can be good at it. And I know some people are like, oh, well, but I'm not talented enough. No, clearly, like, just because you have talent doesn't mean you can't be a prick. If you go to enough live events, you may experience some cursing. You may lose your hearing. If you stand too close to the stage and you're going to a screamo band every weekend, you're definitely getting tetanitis. Tetanitis? Tectonic plates. Titania! Then we have the next one, which is K-pop. This is generally a very Western video, given the creators that I'm mentioning. You know, Tyler the Creator, Eminem, Dolly Parton, Michael Jackson. I'm pretty certain all of those individuals were born in America. I do want to highlight other different sections of the music industry, and when it comes to that bonding of, you know, affecting events, there are definitely live events for K-pop, and there are like events throughout the year that aren't necessarily just related to K-pop. Like the concerts themselves, like there's different sections of, like, you could go to like K-pop dancing, like you could practice that with other individuals as well. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the illusion of whether or not life is all great for K-pop stars and whatnot, because the whole K-pop stars is like parasocial relationships on crack. Their dating lives, their personal lives are not their own a lot of the time. And the amount of training and whatnot they have to go through, one could argue it's more of a curse. Especially because you gotta be on all the time. It's a very fine line of the industrial complex of pumping out a K-pop star. Whenever I think of K-pop, I think of that one scene from Inside Out where Riley's like pumping out like the boyfriend machine, like in her head, and they're just like, oh well, I need to go to this island or whatever, and then they use all of the boyfriends, and then they go and they're like, oh no. That's what I think of whenever I think of like the K-pop industrial complex, or just generally any complex that has boy bands and whatnot. Because this can also just apply to boy bands in America as well. They do have a lot of influence. That BTS army, oh my gosh, they had a lot of... And then the last one we're going to talk about is movie music and the magic of it. Movie music, you're going in, you're watching it, and the credits start rolling, and you can see that long text of Star Wars text and the iconic music in the background. Now that is immensely influential in just culture in general with memes. Anytime you see rolling text, you could think of Star Wars and the theme song for the Star Wars movies. Now, there's not necessarily an illusion of change, because at least the music for that, while I think you could argue when it comes to video games, there could be a possible illusion of change, like from Undertale, you know, determination, the human spirit never dies, yada yada yada. Whereas with movie music, yes, that can be an overall arching theme as well. You know, the human spirit doesn't die. But it's not a call to action to be like, you need to do this with your life. You need to, because you're not actively engaged. What you do or say is not going to lead to the main character doing anything differently. If you want to have that experience, go play one of those YouTube videos where they're like, do you do this or this? And then yes or no, and then they go and follow that plot line. And it's not the mass accumulation of this soundtrack. That's not the primary thing being sold. The primary thing being sold is a movie. And you're not going out and rewatching that 100,000 times in theaters. That's not the culture of movie theaters. All right. I heard you yap on and on and on about all of these case studies about magic and music when it comes to Eminem, Tyler the Creator, Dolly Parton, live music, video game music, movie music, and K-pop. Get to the point. How am I supposed to use this for my own well-being? I'm going to say how I think the individuals should have used magic to improve their lives. If it's applicable. If it's not applicable, then I'll be like, yeah, they did pretty 10 out of 10. And then I'm going to provide some more concrete examples of like studies regarding music and its benefits on you. When it comes to Eminem, he uses it as therapy often. I don't think it's not creating the effect that he wants it. I think he's using it to be able to improve his life monetarily, to get his message across, to, use it as therapy and whatnot. The only tips I could possibly say to possibly improve his life is to go and get actual therapy. Not in like a mean way, because I think anybody can get therapy, and I think therapy's great. I think it's great for your mental health, obviously. Well, unless you have a terrible therapist. But genuinely, I can't think of much else. And for Tyler the Creator, I also don't have many notes for him, because he just seems like he's having fun, and he's doing the purpose of what he's doing for making it. If he has any discontentments, he doesn't make it very apparent to the general population, and that's the only case in which I think it could improve, is if there's some tea as to why Tyler doesn't enjoy what he's doing. And Dolly Parton, I don't think I have any notes for her. She helps the community via her music. The only thing I could think of is if there's anything possibly personal that she's got going on. For video game music, how to make it more magical to benefit others, I would say there's not, again, many notes, but maybe more specialized towards the individual characters in the video games to provide more, personalities to the video games themselves. Like, Undertale was good with that. But for Minecraft, it's just generally, like, location-based or whatever that. Maybe there should be, like, 5 different sounds for a sheep. Who knows? Maybe one day you're gonna go up to a sheep and it's just gonna be like, I'm the IRS, give me your taxes! When it comes to live music and harnessing the magic of it for your own benefit, I would say don't go so often to where you lose your hearing. And if you're going to go that often, wear some form of protection for your ears so you don't get tinnitus when you're older. When it comes to K-pop, I would say this is a very specialized case for boy bands and all that, maybe pull a Harry Styles individuate, prioritize your mental health and well-being to make sure everything's good and okay. And then movie music, I would say to harness the magic of that better, there's not much, I don't have many notes on how to improve that for better. Now, when it comes to your personal consumption of music, and not just these singers or creators or forms of music being put out, and your personal consumption, there are several different ways in which, if you just listen to music more, it benefits your health. Of course, like I said before, don't listen to a detriment in which it will harm you physically or mentally, whether that be at the locations of wherever you listen to the live music, or when you are at home or at work or whatever, and blasting it at full speed, losing your hearing. Don't do that. Some of the ways in which music is beneficial health-wise, if you listen to it. One quote from Harvard that I found regarding the benefits of music was, of those who reported often being exposed to music as a child, 68% rated their ability to learn new things as excellent or very good, compared to 50% of those who were not exposed to music. So, not only if you harness the magic of music for yourself and you contribute to your own well-being by listening to it, you could also benefit your children's lives by encouraging for them to listen to music as they age. One study from the National Library of Medicine discussed it as the transformative power of music is due to its ability to influence the brain, promoting neuroplasticity and bringing about changes that can benefit health and well-being. So if you don't know what neuroplasticity means, it's basically how much your brain is susceptible to like change and whatnot. You know, like they say, oh yeah, the neuroplasticity of your brain is really high whenever you're young. So I don't quote me on this, but I believe that's one of the reasons it's like easier to learn languages as you're younger. But as you age, it becomes more difficult because of the neuroplasticity of your brain becomes a lot less, and you have to just, oh, well, it's just not working anymore. That's the end of this video today. Today we talked about what magic is and how magic is music. Types of music I was referencing when it came to rap, country, pop, live music, K-pop, video game music, and movie music. And the different case studies of how magic improved individuals' lives through music. When we talked about Eminem and his rough struggles growing up and how his music was essentially therapy for him to be able to express his opinions, experiences, and get out of his financial situation. We talked about Tyler the Creator and how Tyler changed rap to not focus as much on the mature themes as it previously did, although there's clearly some still. Dolly Parton, with her immense contributions to society and her influence and just being a doll. And then Michael Jackson, with his very conflicting personal life and how he had such mass levels of influence throughout his life and career, and harnessing the magic of music for your own benefit to be able to do whatever it is that you want to do. If it gives you motivation, that's great, as long as it doesn't cripple you. That's the end of this video. My name's Token. This is Theta. I hope you all enjoyed watching. Please like, follow, subscribe, and I will see you all later. In this purgatory phase crawl and to create my number awaits.